So, you said you first stayed with your auntie here, right?
Yeah.
So, can you just tell us about your life in America?
I mean, I'm going to tell you briefly. I'm not going to give you like absolute details, but I'm going to tell you what's important about it. When I came, I went to live with my aunt, but I wasn't really living with her. It had already been arranged that I'll live with an auntie of mine.
Okay.
She's not an auntie, she's a family friend. It had been arranged that I'd live with her. So when I came, she was at work. So she's living. So I was gonna live with my actual aunt, who is the best friend of this person, until she gets back from work. So I lived with my aunt for like a week, and then she got back. When she got back, then I went to her house. So, mind you, I've known that person since I was a child.
That's your aunt?
My aunt's friend.
Your aunt's friend, okay.
I've known her since I was a child. She liked me since I was a child. We've always been close to her, so it wasn't like a stranger or... No, she was my aunt practically. So we grew up in the same environment as her children. So I lived with her for like, from say September. She came home. I got here ending of August. She came home September. I lived with her from September, and so she was living. She had a roommate, and they were moving from the house they lived in to another place. So she told me, okay, she's at work and all the up and down. It's chaotic, so I have to go to my brother in Ohio until she's settled. Then she'll ask me to come back. At that time, I was working. I don't know if I have to say this, but I was working.
Working as what?
As a store. It's a big store. It was a department store, but it was like a thrift
like a
store.
POS operator or something?
Sorry?
Like a POS operator?
No. I mean, I got there. By beginning, I was working as a floor person. I don't want to say manager, but I was basically in charge of the ladies section.
Okay. So anything that is like out, you just stock it up.
Ladies' clothes, and then I would hang them, I would decorate, I would arrange. Basically.
So you're in like retail
business.
Okay.
And then I started doing the cash register. I was doing both the floor and the register. And then so when she said go, that was like February or ending of January. I'm like, this place you're asking me to go is not New York, Ohio. How, like, you have to drive. I came in.
Or take a flight.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously at this point, I didn't go to school. Although I was supposed to go. Like, the tuition and everything was too high. And it was just not something that was going to be done right away. We had to figure other things out and then do that later. So once I don't go to school, automatically my status has fallen through the cracks, because I came in as a student.
Right.
So now I'm like a vagabond, basically. So we got to I went to Ohio, right, but not to stay. I went to do something, and I came back. And then when I came back, I didn't intend to go to her house, because at this point you said go to your brother. So whatever that I do, it's up to me. I just have to survive.
So you moved there from there?
Yeah. So when I was going to Ohio, I packed all my things.
So you went to Ohio?
I did go.
So for how long did you live in Ohio?
I didn't go there to live there.
You just sent your stuff
Before I went, I had found a place to live in New York.
Oh, okay. So what did you go and do in Ohio then?
My brother lived there. I hadn't seen him since I came.
Oh, okay.
So
we guys were in contact and stuff.
Yeah. He gives me money.
So basically, when you got to New York, you just settled in New York. So who helped you process other stuff? Your auntie?
that was the plan to live in New York.
Okay. Yeah, so when you got here, but your brother wasn't here because your brother was the one who helped you with the school process and everything.
Yes.
Getting your
But he
ticket
was-
and all that stuff. So getting here under normal circumstances, like somebody would say that, okay, then whoever was helping you was the one going to receive you. But that was not the case.
No.
So that means that your auntie here helped you with settling and all that stuff?
Settling, what do you mean by that?
Because you started working, so is
Yeah,
she the
she
one who
helped
helped you
me
to
with
get the
the-
work,
yeah.
or like, you know, all the stuff that needed to do the work and all that stuff?
Yes, she did.
Okay.
She did. So at this point, if I go to Ohio, the main reason why I didn't go to Ohio in the first place was the fact that I can't drive. Like, I need to drive for everything.
Yeah, right,
And
right.
I didn't have a license. I couldn't drive, and all. New York is much more receptive of people who are out of status and people and all that stuff. So I could hustle in New York, which I don't think I can say about Ohio. So basically, I had to like not live in Ohio. I had to find a way. And my boss was willing to like hold my job for me.
Wow.
So
that means like you're taking off for like a few days or something?
yes. So she's like, go, come, I got you. So, and I wasn't doing anything illegal. I was not like, I was just working.
Yeah.
And they would just pay me cash. You know?
Really? Wow,
So
okay.
don't let the FBI come after you. You in this interview.
No, come on.
Seriously, don't even put it in. Take it out. Take that part out.
Don't worry. We're not asking you anything that would implicate you. So now, right? You started working. You're out of status, right? And it means that you're going to have to live some sort of a different life than you hoped to have lived when you started. So,
because I came here with hopes of going straight to school and everything.
But things didn't work that way. So you had to take a different path. Because right now we are looking at all this because of where you are now. Because you're an independent, young lady who is doing so well in the health, system in America here in New York. So you're looking at all that you had to go through to get to where you are now. So at this point, you're going to Ohio and then coming back, right? So you came back to New York and then you had to live by yourself. Is that the case? So with a friend or just alone?
No, I was renting a room in a place.
Okay, so you had like a roommate.
Yeah.
So that's like just like me now. So like I'm living your life before. Okay. So that's interesting. So with that, how long did you have to stay in that status before you started schooling?
So I moved out of that place in 2009. I started school in 2016.
Okay.
So 7 years.
So you had to live like that for 7 years. So share with us some of the challenges, because for someone, okay, and I stand to be corrected, but for most Africans, and I can only say specifically for Ghanaians because I'm a Ghanaian, right? So for most Ghanaians who come to America, regardless of what status they find themselves when they settle, most of them sort of get comfortable wherever they are. Some of them, even if they are undocumented, they don't strive so hard to get documented, right? And some of them, even if they have the luxury of coming on a full ride, good visas, they feel like, okay, I'm okay being a store attendant or a retail, or I'm okay just having the minimum wage, because guess what, I can do overtime. So they feel like the overtime is like, oh, I get a lot of money. I'm not saying this because it's just about the money, but it's about having a comfortable life or pursuing something beyond the minimum. And this is why I'm doing this, conversations.
Yeah.
So in that state for 7 years, you were living a different status in America. What motivated you to say, okay, I'm going to, live this, go through this, enjoy whatever you had to go through, and what made you decide I'm going to go back to school?
I came here for school.
Okay.
That was my goal from day one. I didn't come here with the vision of, oh, a better life. I want to go and hustle and make money. I just wanted to get an education. Because I knew the value of it. And I was already in school before I came. So it wasn't like I'm in Ghana trying to do business and then I came. I was a hustler on a different level. My path to hustling was different from that. My vision was different from just making money. It was beyond that. Just making money wouldn't satisfy me. If, say, I got a baller husband or a baller friend who just wants me to stay home and take care of me without me advancing, it wouldn't have worked for me.
Okay.
Because naturally, I'm a person who is like, I'm like a sponge. I like to absorb things. So there was no way I was going to be content with that life. There was no way. Like it was never an option for me. So everything I did, the goal was to go back to school. The goal was not to get married. The goal was not to have children. The goal was not to make money.
Okay.
The goal was to, because I knew it was a better currency than physical cash.
Because once you have that, you can get whatever money you want.
Yes. And I'm not saying that for everybody. Somebody's own might not be.
Through education, you mean?
Exactly. But me, I knew that was my weapon. I couldn't have survived any other way. If you gave me $1 million cash at that time, I would still choose to go to school.
Okay.
Because I would never be myself.
Right.
I would feel like I did myself a disservice if I hadn't gone to school. Because it's not a matter of the diploma or degree or whatever. Because I would always look at people and be like, I could do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because let me give you a fun fact. At that time, that 7 years, I took so many courses for people.
Yeah, you were saying that.
I took so many courses for people. I'm not saying I wrote a paper for somebody.
No.
I took courses.
That means that you were personally enriching your own knowledge as well through that.
Yep. The entire semester.
Yeah.
I took a course for somebody.
Wow.
He never stepped in that class
Yeah.
for Jack. You know, he just gave me money and then I stayed. I had the time, so I would stay and do it for him. Here, pause for me.